right, welcome back. It's time for us to still look at what the papers are saying, and Issa Ali Shatta is still with us, joining us via Zoom to help us look at what the papers are saying this morning. Let's begin with the Nigerian Tribune. We have headline stories. Nigerian Tribune has a Senate to wade into NEF and as NEF knocks federal government. That's the big headline story. The electricity tariff is the kicker there. Senate to wade in as NEF and knocks federal government. That story you find on the Nigerian Tribune as we look at the headline stories there. Then we've got Ondo 2024. APC should not be polarized. Party chairman warns. That's coming out from the Nigerian Tribune. Then we've got expectation high over Oluibadan designate. Then on the page one, we've got Fubara rejects list of Rivers PDP caretaker committee is another headline story there. The EFCC to arraign Bobrisky for alleged currency abuse. Then we've got other headlines. Igboho sues Gani Adams over alleged defamation, demands 500 million naira damages. You find this story is only on the Nigerian Tribune. All right, Issa Ali Shatta, let's look at the first headline story there. Electricity tariff is the kicker there. Senate to wade in as NEF knocks federal government. Consumer Protection Forum gives NEC 72 hours to reverse hike. What's your take on this story?
It would be nice for the government of the day to feel the pulse of people, before. We've been having this rumor over time that there was going to be a hike, right? And this wasn't any different from what we have heard previously. But the shocker is that you are having over 200% increase, in electricity hike, tariff. At this point in time, it's sad, because whether you like it or not, you could say, yeah, you are trying to tax the elites more, or people. There are people who are not elites but are within the band A, band A level. So what is the metrics they actually use in classifying all of these bands? We have that argument on the one hand. On the other hand, do they have, the way we are metered, do they have any metering system to indicate how many hours we consume electricity on a daily basis? Because even those who fall under the category of band A have come out to categorically said some of them don't even get electricity supply for a week. Some don't even get up to 12 hours in a day. And they said that they supply electricity between 20 to 23 hours, in a day. And that's what categorizes them as band A. So now, if you put all this hype together, what that means is in schools, in businesses, right, majority of them will probably be under band A. If you have people who have bakeries, for instance, and they are classified as band A, what do you think will happen to prices of food items again in Nigeria? What do you think will happen to a lot of consumer goods? Because consumer bear the brunt of the last mile when they pay tax. So they don't really think all of these things through correctly. They just make arbitrary decisions, and we are running a full capitalist economy. And the truth is, when you listen too much to those who give you loans, this is exactly what happens. Because there are certain benchmarks that those that are giving you loans outside the continent of Africa, I don't want to call names, they probably tell you how you should really live your life. And don't forget that at a point in time, I don't know if it were IMF or World Bank that has said that we should increase our electricity tariff.
The World Bank.
World Bank, thank you. So there are a lot of, with due respect to the World Bank and with due respect to the area of economics that we have, the economics that works in other countries or other continents might not necessarily work in Africa, and might not also necessarily work in Nigeria. It's a different ball game entirely. And that's the reason why we need to think inward. Look inwards. Look at what we can do. Tweak. Use our local. Let me, if I may, permit me to use native intelligence. Let's use our local intelligence to see how we can put some things together. I mean, you don't need a soothsayer to come and tell you, or an analyst to tell you the ripple effect that you're going to have with this hike. It's astronomical, right? So for me, I think the government of the day is not really feeling as if they are not feeling the pulse of what is going on. Even if you think that, so what class category do we have today in Nigeria? We have the higher class and the lower class. The middle class literally does not exist. And those who are supposed to maybe be in the middle class are being classified as those in the higher class. Those people, this category of people are also feeling the brunt. They've not increased their salaries, right? Their standard of living have not improved, and we are still adding more burden to them. I mean, they have dependents and all of that. So the government is really not thinking through at this point in time. You know, more or
Okay, so
less like robbing
do you
people.
think the Senate can wade? The headline says the Senate is to wade into this matter. Do you think the Senate wading into the matter would change or reverse the hiking price?
Anthony, let me be honest with you. The truth is, a lot of Nigerians have lost confidence in government. They don't even believe what government, they've lost trust. And in all fairness to this current administration, it's not just this administration, it's as a result of what Nigerians have gotten over time. When Nigeria thought they had hope, their hope was dashed, hope was shattered, right? And that's the reason why you started seeing the Japa syndrome happening, because they are tired of the country, they are tired of lies, they are tired of fictitious stories, they are tired of a lot of beautiful policies come on air, and say a lot of beautiful policies, but nothing really gets to happen. So Nigerians are really, really tired of the situation, right? Nigerians don't really believe that that separation of power is really working. Nigerians don't really believe that the legislator or the legislative arm is really acting as a watchdog to the executive, or they are carrying out that oversight. They see the current day legislative arm as a rubber stamp legislative arm. So, I mean, Nigerians don't really believe whatever comes out in that house, the
All
red,
right.
at the
So
red,
let's
whether the red seat or the blue seat.
All right, so let's move to the next talking point. Although 2024 APC should not be polarized, party chairman wants. Let's look at the issue of Ondo State. Lucky Ayedatiwa obviously is not getting the support he thought he was going to get. The APC is like divided across board. What do you see playing out in Ondo State?
Well, you see, Ondo State, Ekiti State have always been, like this, most especially when they are not only this state, most of even look at what happened in Edo State, for instance. It was a shame you were having two parallel primaries happening at the same time, and two people emerged at the same time until recently when, they sort of did some reconciliatory meeting. They had a reconciliatory meeting, and they were able to like, at least douse tension on that part. Ekiti State will not be any way different. Don't forget that even before the late governor died, right, there has been a
Yes.
lot of controversies. Lots of people didn't really support the deputy governor to take over. A lot of people didn't really support power to be handed over to the deputy governor. The deputy governor have also identified some people he probably might classify as his political enemies. And when eventually he got the mantle of leadership, he has not been able to really bring his so-called political enemies together. You know, as a politician, you should be able to extend, the olive oil to all parties, ensuring that you bring every parties together, most especially now that you are going into an election uh, process. You should be able to win the critical stakeholders. If not, you might see what will happen during the primaries, because you might think you are currently the incumbent governor, but you might be surprised, except we don't have the situation that occurred in Edo State, happening again. But I feel that APC really need to get his house clean and ensure that we don't have all of these, divide coming, within the internal politics of the states.
All right, let's look at let's move to the Daily Trust and see what the Daily Trust has in store for us. We've got bandits kill 7, abduct 13 family members in Kaduna and the FCT. Then Kanu files 8-count charge against Ganduje wife and others is one of the headline stories there. Baru emerges acting Speaker of ECOWAS Parliament. Then we've got other headline stories. U.S. Muslim leaders reject iftar dinner with Biden as anger over Gaza persists. Then we've got Northern Elders chide Tinubu over electricity tariff hike. Okay, let's begin on the foreign scene. U.S. Muslim leaders reject iftar dinner with Biden as anger over Gaza persists. What would be the implication of this rejection, knowing fully well it's a religious obligation that should be accepted?
Yeah, I mean it's a silent protest. They are not carrying placard. They are not going to the war front to say they want to, support or really antagonize the U.S. They've watched the body language of United States of America, most especially immediately when the war started, and of course what just recently happened during the United Nations Security Council, election, where U.S. sat on the fence. Right, that body language, to them didn't go down well. Most especially if you look at the lives that have been lost, numbers of people, over 2 million people displaced, 8 workers attacked. The British 8 workers were attacked. And despite the fact that the Security Council had, ruled against Israel to at least halt and cease fire. Most especially, they said even this period of Ramadan. And nothing like that happened. So Anthony, ask yourself the question, if it were Nigeria that was attacking any of his neighboring country and a Security Council, had passed their resolution and we still continue attacking them, what do you think will be happening in Nigeria now? Right. So it's the case of all animals are equal, but some animals are equal than others. That's exactly what is happening. Right. So it's sad. And the truth is, I don't see any consequence in what they have done. Even Joe Biden knows that he's playing to the gallery, right? Because you can't slap me with the right hand and you want to drag me with the left hand to say, come, let me embrace you. That's exactly the kind of body language that they are getting from the US. Nobody's really coming outrightly to tell Israel to really stop this genocide. It's sad and unfortunate. People, I mean, if this happened, look at the Russia-Ukrainian war, for instance. So you can see the hypocrisy that has played out during the Russia-Ukrainian war, right? You can see the hypocrisy, despite the fact that they were not supporting Russia. Anthony, ask yourself, what efforts have the world done or made towards Ukraine? They kept lighting the fire, but they are not really coming to rescue Ukraine. Look at the kind of destruction that has happened in Ukraine. Look at the lives that have been done. I mean, senseless thing to do that are totally avoidable and unnecessary, right? But look at the kind of media attention. Look at the kind of support that Ukraine had gathered. But look at what's happening in Gaza today. If the same thing was happening in Ukraine, of course you should know what would have been happening by now. But again, the world is watching, and let's see how this really pans out. But I just feel there's an agenda that is being followed.
All right, let's move on to the next paper. We have the Nation's newspaper next for review. Let's see the big stories they're making in the Nations. We've got Tinubu is the kicker there. Economy on growth path, inflation to go down, says the president. That's coming from the president. And we've got Discos get matching orders on power supply. Then troops seize 21 million liters, 210 metric tons of stolen crude. Then we've got rumpus in PDP over caretaker committees in states and councils. That's one of the some of the headline stories there from the Nation's newspaper. Issa, do you agree with Mr. President that says economy on growth path, inflation to go down?
Yes, if the economy is on the growth path, that economy is really working like a chameleon, and it's working like an earthworm, because which means we are moving, I won't say gradually, but we are moving very, 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 very slowly, right? Yes, there seems to be some form of, hope, here and there. Just when it seems like things are beginning to settle in, we get another shocker, which is the electricity tariff increase that you have seen. And will you say the economy is moving at, because trust me, the electricity tariff is going to also drive up inflation, because the inflation that we have been talking about today in Nigeria is not the structural inflation that you know. Of course, it's food inflation. And when food inflation is high, you definitely know that there are a lot of key indicators that have triggered that increase, over time. And the way, the inflation rate is increasing month on month, you will know the things that are really happening in the economy, which means that what people purchasing power had even dropped. As if you looked at a FINA report, I think last week or so, they said 50% of Nigerians have gone out of financial inclusion bucket because of poverty and unemployment, right? Those are not positive key economic indicators. If you say the economy is increasing, because you are finding a lot of people dropping out of the bucket, the employment bucket, they are dropping deeper into the poverty bucket, and you are saying that the economy is increasing or the economy is making progress. Nigerians understand. That's why I said earlier that we don't need any foreign key indicators or KPIs to measure the performance of our economy. We need to look at what is the direct reactions with the policies. We should have the temerity or the ability to tweak what is not working. I mean, all of the yes, where subsidy removal, controversy, astray, whether it's still existing, is not existing, tariff, electricity that we have. I mean, Anthony, someone called me yesterday, right? And the wife had an emergency. They rushed out to the hospital, and they were supposed to perform a surgery. And the bill was almost about 400,000 naira. This is somebody who is earning less than 100,000 naira. Where on earth do you expect him to get the money from? But if you had a system that was working, we had a social health, system that is working, that man probably will be paying maybe just 10% or 20%. Yes, people will argue that you have NHIS. NHIS is scam. I mean, they've said it over and over again. Ask anybody who is assessing NHIS if they are really getting the best. You go to the hospital, they give you inferior drugs, inferior support, but when you open a private file, you will see, the speed at which they respond to you. You will see even the drugs that they give to you. Why? Because you are paying 100%. So I don't even want to go there. So you can go on. We have a lot of cosmetic approach to the economy. So you can't say that the economy is really, making any progress.
All right, let's end our conversation on newspaper review with the talk about the Binance chief trial being stalled. Are you impressed with the pace of prosecution of the Binance chief?
Yeah, well, Anthony, ask yourself a fundamental question. First, the offense is tax evasion. Now, Yes, is Binance registered in Nigeria? If the answer is yes, do they have all the CAC documents and the rest? If the answer is yes, why did we have to wait until now? Ask yourself this question. Why do we have to wait until now, right, to go after Binance? And Binance is just one out of the ocean. You have many other platforms that are operating without being paying tax. So what regulatory approach have you put in place to checkmate all of these activities? We always like reacting in Nigeria rather than being proactive, right?
All
I've
right.
said this over and over again. I mean, for me, heads should be rolling in our tax authorities, people who are saddled with responsibility of recovering tax. So which means year on year, when you submit your end of year report, you are supposed to give me the list of those who have evaded tax or those who have not paid tax, right? So you don't accumulate it up to this point. That is just the point I'm trying to make.
All right.
So let's not unnecessarily make some drama, create a drama as if they are criminals. They are not criminals. It's a civic crime, right?
Okay.
But we are giving it too much media attention as if they are bigger than the thieves that we have in government that have siphoned our monies, and we are not really giving them this kind of attention.
All
So
right.
for me, it's something that they should just have like an agreement, let them pay off, then we are out of this quagmire.
All right. Thank you very much, Issa Shata. Thank you for your views on the top stories we looked at making the rounds in the papers. So this where we urge you to enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much. So this where we'll be calling it a wrap on the paper review segment. We'll be going for a very quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be looking at the issue of the hiking electricity prices, and we'll be looking at the effect and the consequences of this very disturbing trend. Stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back to Global Morning. Today, we're still looking at the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, and we'll be looking at the tariff increase for urban customers. Now, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, has indicated that a total of 1,974 385 electricity customers will be affected by its recent hike in tariff. The tariff hike was aimed at making a significant cut, an estimated 2.9 trillion naira electricity subsidy in 2024 fiscal year. It was further learned that the hike became inevitable following cash flow constraints arising from FG's federal government's inability to pay obligations to the Nigerian electricity market. Now, the NEC on Tuesday hiked electricity tariff for Band A customers by 230% from 68 naira per kilowatt to an hour to 225 kilowatt per hour. Now, Band A customers are those that receive an average daily electricity supply 20 hours or more. With the new order issued by NEC, Band A would no longer enjoy federal government subsidy on electricity. The NEC said yesterday subsidy payments across the bands have become unsustainable. Now, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, has indicated that a total of 1,974,385 electricity customers were affected by its recent hike in tariff. Now, we learned that the tariff hike was aimed at making a significant cut, an estimated 2.9 trillion naira electricity subsidy in the 2024 fiscal year. Now, it is further learned that the hike became inevitable following cash flow constraints arising from federal government's inability to pay obligations to the Nigerian electricity market. Now, moving on this particular issue, I am being joined by Dr. Ernest Kubolu. He is a monetary economist. He was a lecturer at Department of Economics and Development Studies, Federal University of Kishiri, Gombe State. Good morning, sir. Are you here with me, Dr. Ernest? Hello, Dr. Ernest. Dr. Ernest Kubolu, are you there? All right, let's quickly go on a quick break while Dr. Ernest joins us on the program as we look further into the electricity hike and the increase on the urban customers. Stay tuned. right, you're welcome back for the part two of Global Morning. And today we're going to be looking at the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, that has indicated that a total of 1,974,385 electricity customers were affected by the recent tariff. And I am being joined by an economist, Dr. Anas Kubolu. He is a monetary economist, and of course, he was a lecturer at Department of Economics and Development Studies, Federal University of Kashire, Gombe State. Now, good morning, Dr. Anas, are you here? Dr. Anas? I'm sure he's going to join us sooner than we think. Dr. Anas? Let's quickly go on a very quick break while Dr. Anas joins us in shortly. Stay tuned. You're welcome back from that very quick break. And like I said, I am being joined by Dr. Anas Kubolu. Good morning, Dr. Anas.
Good morning, Madam Jumai. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you for honoring our invitation and being a part of the program. And like we know, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, has indicated that a total of 1,974,385 electricity consumers will be affected by the recent hike in the tariff. Now, looking at that critically with that hike and, of course, the differentiation when it comes to Band A, Band B. Now, what factors do you think led to the increase in the electricity tariffs for urban customers in Nigeria only?
Thank you very much once again for inviting me to this very wonderful show. First of all, let's understand the concept of that electricity tariffs. You see, the electricity tariffs is the amount of money that the electricity supply in the production and the supply of the electricity related costs. So that tariffs actually are influenced by a variety of factors, such as energy consumption, the power, the power factor of the loads, time load required, load type, and maximum demand actually that as actually by the entire citizen of the country. So, however, looking at that, these tariffs are actually designed to be a cost-reflective and reasonable price for consumers, as you rightly said. At the same time, avoiding the cost subsidizes between customer categories as well as the government. So, globally, before I come down to your question, if you look at it, electricity tariff globally is actually average per kilowatt, that is per kilowatt per hour.
Yes.
It shows that Germany has the highest tariff rate of about, I think, $0.30, that is per kilowatt per hour, followed by Denmark and then the Belgium. In contrast, Russia has the lowest tariff rate of 0.06, meaning almost zero in Russia, that is per hour, kilowatt. That is how the history of this issue of, tariff is globally. So now, coming down to Nigeria, our country per se, the issue of electricity here, if you look at it, we have the regulatory body,
yes,
the
we do.
Electricity Regulatory Commission, which they have been, galloping with how they can review this since 2023, I think January last year. They have been, seeking for approval from the government in order to increase the tariff for customer under, different band that they have. Now, let me categorize this band by you so that, viewers can understand. Who are Band A, who are Band B, C, D, E. This band, customer under Band A, are those customers who enjoy power between 20 to 24 hours of electricity supply on daily basis.
But Dr. Anes, sorry to interject, Dr. Anes, but do we really enjoy 20 hours of power in a day? Looking at the economy at this point, we're talking about band A, band B. Do we actually enjoy 20 hours of electricity? Are there individuals like that without backing it up with the generator or the diesel?
Yes, in this country, Madam Jumai, there are exceptional people that enjoy power, but they are not much. They are not much because we have the total of 3,000 feeders in Nigeria. The total feeders that are actually existing in this country, they are up to 3,000. I have to understand.
Okay.
So customer under band A, they are about less than 800,000. So now, sorry, 800, less than 800. So now the Electricity Power Commission, now they are trying to streamline the number to become less than 500. What they are saying now, the people that are going to be affected under the band A, they are going to be around 480 in this country. If you come down to Abuja, and also in terms of power supply, especially people in Lagos, a lot of a location in Lagos are enjoying 20 hours per day in Lagos because they have a kind of, Ikoyi Power have a kind of, a large megawatt that they are supplying to a particular section group of people who are enjoying up to 20 hours per day. So this category of people, they are the one, as they make it, segmenting the market, categorizing, the consumer or customer per se, they are going to enjoy that. So for me, to be honest, they are not going to have it right because what if the businesses in those locations are now being affected by that? It's going to make a huge implication economically.
Exactly.
So, because the band B, people under band B are also subscribers who enjoy 16 to 20 hours.
Okay.
While band C, they enjoy 12 to 16 hours on daily basis. I want to understand the point. So only band D subscribers are beneficiaries of 8 to 12 hours, while that of E, they enjoy only 4 to 8 hours of electricity consumption every day.
But Dr. Anes, I want to ask a question. Dr. Anes, now looking at band A, band B, and band C, that band A enjoys 20 hours of electricity, like you have mentioned, band C 16 hours, band B 16 hours, and now band C 8 hours. But they all fall under the increment of the urban customers. So we all fall under the same umbrella, and there is still increment. So how do you differentiate that? Because some people use more electricity than others, don't you think?
Yes. The problem we are going to have in Nigeria, if you actually make a questionnaire now in the country, you sample your questionnaire and you read the information, a lot of Nigerians will tell you that this issue of ban that is coming from the technical expertise of Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission is not actually working in this country. To be honest, you cannot actually say these are the band A, band B, band C.
Exactly.
You know that, yes, Rotary knows that there are some areas that enjoy more hours of electricity.
Exactly.
They are trying to smuggle. They are trying to smuggle this hike across all the board. What they are doing now, they are trying to sample and make a test, make a pilotal test in order to see whether the country will accept this hike or not. But to be in a safer side, to be honest, these people are not having this segmented of the market. We don't have segment of the market when it comes to electricity consumption. It's coming from this commission where actually they are selling this to Nigerians, but I doubt and I don't think Nigeria are going to accept this issue of ban A, ban B, ban C, ban E, ban whatever ban that is coming across. I believe by end of by December, you can see everyone that is going to be in the different tier of ban, whether you are in band F or band E, you are going to be affected by this hike. We are just making a pilotal test now on the band A, who are enjoying higher hours, To me, that is what they are trying to smuggle now.
Okay, Dr. Anas, when you say everyone is going to be affected by this increment, now looking at Band A, Band B, Band C, well, will the increment in the tariff affect this category of people? It depends on the amount that will be paid. Is it going to be all under the same umbrella, or there will be that differentiation to say, okay, you fall under Band A because you use 20 hours of electricity, Band B 16 hours of electricity, and Band C 8 hours of electricity, when we look at that critically?
Thank you very much for that important question. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. A lot of Nigerians, they don't know, but let me just tell people to know. The reason behind this hike or increase in tariff was in a bit for the sector to attract new investment. They want to attract new investment so that they slash about $2.3 billion they spend to cap tariffs. Because what they are complaining, investors are not ready to come and invest in that particular sector. Reason being that they are looking, investor is always looking for what we call in economic cost-reflective tariffs.
Okay.
Because the information that is going to the investors, the sector is lacking a plan for sustainable electricity with cost-reflective tariffs. What we mean by cost-reflective tariff, it reflects the actual cost of supplying the electricity. Because what they are trying to do, they want to remove the reliance subsidizing to cover the variance between the current tariff and the actual cost of supply of electricity. So this is as the federal government paid a total of almost 375 billion naira. So they are trying to see how they can attract investors. Now, coming down to your question, very, very important. The issue of who are the people that are going to be affected. All Nigerians are going to be affected, irrespective whether you are in high income earning, medium income earning, or middle income earning, or lower income earning.
Okay.
Nigerians will start to spend 170,000 naira on electricity on monthly basis now. With this tariff increase, people will start to spend about 170,000 naira on electricity monthly. I hope you understand the point.
Yes, I do.
Because I published a paper on the electricity in this country, because I could remember I published a paper. It has already been published. The paper actually, in my analysis, in my investigation, I discovered a fraction of over 3,000 disco feeders, that is fewer than 481 feeders will be impacted. So with this increase or high in tariff, almost close to 500 feeders out of the 3,000 feeders that we have in this country under the discourse, distribution companies, almost 500 are going to be affected. They are going to be affected negatively. And this represents about 15% of them, of about 12 million electricity customers that National Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry have already informed the world. So now let's go and discuss. Let's iron the people that will be impacted. Number one, impact on consumers. This increase in electricity rate is directly going to affect the consumer's pocket, because as higher rates of this electricity tariff is going to translate in increased monthly bills, especially with already skyrocketed bills that we have.
Dr. Anas, Dr. Anas, I want to quickly ask a question before you tell us about the impact. Now, looking at this critically, we know what happened when the removal of subsidy took place. The fuel increments, the high cost of living, the economy as a whole. Now, let us look at the increase of electricity tariff. Well, what impact will it have on the urban residents, one, in Nigeria? And what impact will it have on the economy? Because we've heard of series of looting that took place due to high cost of living and hunger in the land. So what impact do you think this particular increment of electricity tariff would bring to the urban residents and Nigeria as a whole?
Very important question. You see, let me tell you, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS in Nigeria, they already say that 40.1% of Nigerians are classified as poor.
True.
40.1% of Nigerians are classified as poor. As such, we already have skyrocketed bills from the fuel subsidy removal, as you are rightly said. This has actually negatively impacted on the lives of ordinary citizens in the
Very, very true.
So many households now in Nigeria, especially those in the rural areas, and even those at the urban and semi-urban areas, are low-income households with limited disposable income. You know, in economy, when we say disposable income, that is the income available for you to consume. And the burden of higher electricity costs now, with this new trend, can be particularly be a challenge to ordinary Nigerians. In addition, this increase will actually reflect on the financial strain on consumers. Consumer income, which can lead to reduce what we call discretionary expenses, affecting local businesses and the overall economy per se. So one of the businesses, you know, all businesses heavily rely on electricity to function optimally. You and I knows. Maybe, I don't know, this television that we are having a program now, I don't know whether you're on generator or diesel or petroleum or maybe electricity.
Sometimes we have to switch when there is no power. We switch to the generator.
See, that means a spike in electricity tariffs is directly going to impact your operational and production costs. It's going to reduce your profitability and also competitiveness. Let me tell you one thing. Most of this hike on this electricity in developing nation is going to reduce the profitability of the business sector, and it's going to reduce the competitiveness that we are enjoying in this country. And when business don't have competition, you know what the implication? The implication is they're going to experience an inflation. We already have a double-digit inflation now.
True.
With the double-digit inflation in place, this is going to further, you know, cause a lot of hardship on Nigeria. A lot of people will lose their jobs now. That is the economy implication. People will continue to lose their jobs because a lot of businesses will shut down. They cannot cope with this electricity tariff because the energy-intensive industry, that's what we call energy-intensive industries, such as manufacturing, mining, hospitality services, radio and television. They experience significant challenges. That tariff, parallel increase, higher electricity costs. They compel businesses to cut on operation, reduce their number of staff, or pass on the increased expenses to consumers through higher prices. Ultimately, this will make people to become poor. This publication of 40.1% already Nigerian poor, you should expect about 60 or 80% now, because a lot of people lose their jobs, family will go hunger to their beds, a lot of things will happen. So that is the implication. I hope you understand the point.
Yes, I do.
Because I know the sector want to attract investment. The increase in electricity tariff.
But Dr. Anas, I want to chip in. I want to ask a very vital question. Now, you said the sector wants to attract investors. Is it at the detriment of the Nigerian populace? Because you mentioned a lot of things, that there's going to be loss of jobs, there's going to be rundown of business. These are detriments, the detriments of Nigerians. So do you think, is it because we want to attract foreign investors?
Let me tell you, all this implementation of withdrawal of subsidy from electricity, withdrawal of subsidy from maybe energy sector, withdrawal of subsidy from petroleum, diesel, withdrawal of subsidy from fertilizer, withdrawal of subsidy from our education sector. That is public education sector. Our university system, our polytechnic system, our colleges of education system.
Healthcare.
It is the recommendation of World Bank and the IMF.
Very true. Now, speaking about Dr. Ernest, talking about the World Bank, now I really need you to throw more light on the government policies or regulations influencing the rise in electricity costs for urban customers, because this has nothing to do with the rural customers at all, because they're way down there, and the urban are the ones in the city. So just please throw more light for someone who is watching and wondering, where are these policies coming from? Are the government the backbone of these policies or regulations? Please throw more light.
You see, Nigeria gained its independence in 1960, 1st October. You and I know.
True.
But economically, financially, we are not independent. Politically, let's say politically, yes, we are independent. But economically, we are not independent. You know why? We are always operating a budget at the deficit instead of either a balanced budget or surplus budget. But unfortunately, we are operating on the deficit budget. Where do you get the surplus? Where do you get to bridge the gap between that of the deficit of the budget? You always rush to the IMF, the World Bank,
True.
African Development Bank, London Club, Paris Club, and all creditor institutions, both external as well as the domestic debt institutions, to seek how to bridge that particular deficit of your budget. That is the reason why those resources that you always seek from those hands, they are coming with the word implications. And that implication is always affecting our citizens, affecting our economy, because those gravity of direction, recommendation, they are coming with a graveyard that is actually affecting the ordinary citizens. The issue that we have now, IMF, World Bank, and whatsoever, they are always recommending developing nations. The world is divided into four.
True.
We have what we call center of the center. The center of the first center, we call them the first world countries. We have the center of the periphery. That is the second world country, most of the Asian tigers. Then we have the periphery of the center. The periphery of the center are the developing nation. Nigeria belongs to the periphery of the center. Then we have the periphery of the periphery. Now, most of these countries, periphery of the center and the periphery of the periphery, are always actually having their policies directly from the IMF and the World Bank. Because our public sector, our government, they are always rushing to seek their resources. And once you seek their resources, they will attach that conditionality with all things that will come to actually affect your country negatively. Let me tell you something very, very important. This issue of increase in electricity tariff is like a giant leap toward achieving cost reflective. They want to have what we call a sector cost reflective tariffs. For several years, the electricity value chain in Nigeria has suffered losses. Most of these distribution companies, they don't have cash liquidation where they can be able to invest in infrastructure so that they will continue to distribute a required power. They lack adequate capital. They don't have capital. Being unable to meet their financial obligations. That's why now they turn back. They want to achieve what you call cost-reflective tariff. You understand? So that they will instill confidence in the mind of investors, foreign investors as well as domestic investors, and intended investors also. And it demonstrates that investors can profit from their investment. So that is the secret behind all this issue of hike in this, hike in this, hike in this. I understand the point.
Yes,
so
I
the
do.
Increase is going to impact various sectors and shareholders negatively, and to some extent, that particular investors positively. But the country is going to be affected negatively. Citizens will be affected negatively. But investors, that is what they want. They are going to have it as they want. They are going to be affected positively.
And Dr. Ernest, I keep reflecting back. He says, for these investors to be affected positively, is it at the detriment of Nigerian and the Nigerian economy?
At the detriment of the Nigerian and the businesses of Nigerians. They are going to enjoy positively. Their return will come back as the reflective value chain of their investment at the detriment of the ordinary citizen of Nigeria as well as our businesses. If care is not taken, I am telling you, most of the businesses will shut down. And you know the implication of shutting down business? a lot of Nigerians will lose their jobs.
A lot,
and you know
a
the
lot.
implication
Hunger.
of people losing their jobs?
Hunger.
When people are losing their jobs.
Criminality.
We are not going to have what we call competition, competitive economy. Insecurity will rise up.
Definitely.
A lot of hardship, a lot of hunger, a lot of famine, a lot of, starvation. It's going to affect Nigerians. Sincerity.
Dr. Anas, now, with all of these things that you've said, investors, they are the ones that will profit more from this hike in electricity. Now, are there any alternatives available to Nigerians and the Nigerian economy in this increment in electricity tariff? Is there any other way around this? So we don't end up like what is happening with the fuel subsidy that has caused a lot of issues for Nigerians and the Nigerian economy as we speak.
To be honest with you, let me just tell you something. As it is now, already there is a difficult task for policy makers in Nigeria to strike a balance between the requirement for a power sector that is financially sustainable with affordable energy, given that the pace of fuel subsidy removal is still lingering. It's still lingering until now.
Exactly.
I want to understand the point. The issue of unifying of the essence rate also is still lingering in the caution. You understand the point? So Nigerian economy is still suffering from a lot of difficulties. And now with this now, it's going to further compounding the issue more and more, I am telling you. Because this increase or high electricity, it has a romance with almost everything that you think in Nigeria. Everything that you think in Nigeria.
Yes, it does.
Remember, we don't have investment in infrastructure in terms of electricity. In terms of manufacturing and industrialization, we don't have the capacity to provide the required, our consumption. Most of you will depend on importation. So if industry will continue to collapse, definitely what is going to happen, we must have to increase our importation. And when we increase the imports of this country, it's going to actually devalue our naira, because our naira already it become a third-party currency in the community of the world, because Naira cannot go to China and import. Naira cannot go to Europe and import. It cannot go to Asia. It cannot go to even our African peers to import. So Naira has become a third-party currency. And that's why today Naira is losing its values. Everybody is talking about dollarization of the economy. Why do we do that? Because we don't have the requirement, we don't have the adequate electricity in this country. For God's sake, do you know that in this country, we don't have 10,000 megawatts that can power our economy? Over 230 million people? If you go to Egypt,
look at Ghana. Let's look at Ghana.
No. Yes. Egypt, may I have the statistics of Egypt? Because I conducted an investigation in Egypt.
Okay.
They have over 50,000 megawatt of electricity. But today, and Egypt, the entire population in Egypt, they are not up to 100 million. You understand? They are very less in terms of number. Ghana, they are not up to 30 million people. 30 million people. But yet, Ghana have over 20,000 megawatts.
Yes, they do. Steady electricity.
Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we don't have even a quarter of our requirement. How can you expect a balance, of a brighter day in this country? And that is why we are galloping with a lot of things. We don't have things that are actually can make us to become a sustainable economy. That is why today average Nigerian is actually productivity of average Nigerian is minus 0.8. Minus 0.8. Why is this so? That is according to National Bureau of Statistics in 2019-2020. Why is this so? Because we don't have adequate power that can power the economy to make the industry, to make the manufacturing industry attractive, so that they can produce our requirement and now export the surplus and import the dollar, so that we don't have to dollarize the economy. And that is the problem we have to solve.
Now, Dr. Hannes, let us look at the electricity providers, for instance. Let's look at them critically. Now, do you think they'll be able to justify the need for the tariff hike for urban customers in Nigeria? Justifying this tariff, why it's important, why it will help us in any way. Do you think there'll be any justifiable means to all of this?
very important question. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. The issue that we have, our primary focus in Nigeria is to enhance distribution and transmission infrastructure so that we minimize technical and commercial losses. But the problem, Madam Jumai, we don't invest on infrastructure. If you could remember,
you said so.
We have 11 distribution companies. We have transmission company, TCM. But their responsibility, primary focus of these two institutions is to make sure they minimize technical and commercial losses. They need to enhance distribution. They need to make sure that transmission infrastructure are available in the country. But the lack of liquidity continues to be a significant challenge in the electricity market. Do you know that as it is now, we don't have the capacity in terms of infrastructure to distribute the electricity? Because the 11 distribution companies that we call Discos, they don't have liquidity. They don't have, assets. They don't have capital to actually deliver their obligation, financial obligation. And that is why everybody is suffering in this country. The country is currently actually implementing process of cost-reflected tariff. That is what they announced yesterday and day before yesterday. The government is continuing to subsidize power supply in the past, but now they are telling Nigerians Band A only will be affected, but all the vulnerable society will not be affected. But that is not true.
Exactly. Exactly. This will affect each and every one of us.
They should come. They should appear on television and radio. They should sensitize Nigeria. Who are the people? Where are the Band A customers? Are they only appear in Lagos or Abuja? Where are they?
Let's be sure.
We have 774 local governments. We have 36 states. We have only one federal capital territory. In these 774 local governments, as well as the 36 states, how many Band A customers do we have that are reflecting across this strata of the people? How many Band A customers do we have? So let me just tell you the truth. They are smuggling to hide the tariff under the umbrella of Band A customers, which is not true. We are very sensitive, we are very intelligent. Nigerians are very, very intelligent. We know what they are going to do. They just want to could you imagine, 66 naira to 225.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Imagine? We are going to operate on the catastrophic economy in the future. If care is not taken, we should be very, very careful. Nigeria is going to record a lot of unemployment, a lot. And when you record unemployment, I am telling you, the country cannot have it as it is.
All right, Doctor.
Positive macroeconomy.
Okay, Dr. Ernest, I know you are an economist, so you have more light because this is practically your professional field. Now, in your own opinion, what do you think are some potential solutions to mitigate the impact of the increased electricity tariff?
Number one, the companies that are currently operating the distribution of Nigerian electricity, they are incompetent. Yes, already all Nigerians knew that they are incompetent. We know that they are incompetent. What do I say they are incompetent?
I was going to ask.
When you, as an investor, a government is leasing its own assets to your custody, it is expected to boost that particular sector with capitalization so that you improve the operational efficiency, so that you improve the supply, you improve the distribution, so that everywhere there is going to be that product and services. But unfortunately in Nigeria, we have handed over our power sector to an incompetent, cartel of people that are operating. So I think, number one, government should, as matter of urgent, quickly to retrieve our distribution company and transfer those companies to the competent hand. People who are actually into the businesses. Because I remember in 2013, 2014, when the government of Jonathan, former president, handed over this 11 distribution company to incompetent hand, Most of them are politicians. That is why today we are suffering. It's as a result of incompetent hands that are running the business of power sector. That's why today Nigerians are suffering. So number one, we should retrieve this sector from incompetent hand to the competent hand. That's number one.
Okay.
Then number two, we should know that there is actually a corruption, a lot of corruption. Since the time of Obasanjo regime, there are so many allegations of, 20 billion US dollars.
Which are unaccounted for. Don't forget, which are unaccounted for.
Unaccounted for. Very, very correct. Unaccounted for. This issue of $20 billion, in fact, they even raised the issue during former President Muhammadu Buhari regime that they are going to investigate former nine assembly as well as the 8th National Assembly. They promised to make that investigation. But until now, as it is now, none of the Nigerian citizens is aware of what is going on in that particular sector. So to be honest, if we don't block corruption, definitely corruption will come back and turn around and kill Nigeria. That's why today Nigerians are being affected negatively as a result of corruption in that particular sector. So that's what we call PPP, public-private partnership.
Yes.
I think it's high time. It's high time to make a bid. Make a bidding. Attract investors. Let them come so that we actually hand over this sector.
When you say attract investors, that's from both public and private sectors coming together.
Public and private sector. Thank you very much. But public and private sector, you can't hand over this very important sensitive sector into the private hand
Alone.
to continue to do what they want. It's not possible. It's not possible. You are going to kill the vulnerable society. You can't do that. It has to be a public-private partnership. With the public-private partnership, meaning government will own like 50 or 51 or 49% in that particular sector, then the private hands should continue to run the business. When government has a lot of share in that sector, I think vulnerable society will enjoy the benefit of government hand in that particular sector. And that is what we are expecting. So I think there is problem. Me as an economist, I can tell you vividly, the Western world, they cannot allow us to have a sustainable and actually uninterrupted power supply. Because the people who are running our energy sector, who are running our power sector, are the importers of generators today in Nigeria. They import a lot of generators today in Nigeria. And that is why that business, there is complication in that particular sector.
And it's very competitive, Dr. Anas. It's very competitive.
Very, very competitive. It's a cartel.
Yes, it's a cartel.
To come and break that cartel, you have to be very, very careful.
Very careful.
They can kill, they can eliminate, they can do what they want.
Okay.
And that is what people don't know.
All right, Dr. Anas Kubolu.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I completely understand. All right, that's the much we can have on the program. All right, Dr. Anas Kubolo, all the way from Gombe State. He is a monetary economist and he was a lecturer at Department of Economics and Department Studies, Federal University of Kashere, Gombe State. Thank you so much for being a part of Global Morning today with us. We were very informed. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
I hope to have you again on the program. Hope to have you again.
No, you are always welcome. No problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anas Kubolu. And that's the much we can bring on the program, Global Morning today. And we're looking at the NEC and the rise, the tariff increase for urban customers. Hope you are well informed. Let's quickly go on a quick break while we wrap up the program. Stick around.
My producer just couldn't get his lines right. You were supposed to catch her in action.
What action?
You have to hold Samson. He's the worst producer I've ever. No. Samson, you are supposed to allow the word catcher in action. Today is TGIF, right? Yeah, so you were supposed to catch her in action so that they can enjoy the free flow of fake steps.
Say fake steps. Oh my goodness.
So that's what you get when you join Africa's Finance Breakfast Show. It was amazing. The big talk as regards the hiking electricity price. You've got Dr. Anas Kubolo, the monetary economist, who was a lecturer with the Department of Economics and Development Studies at Gombe State University, alongside one of the finest anchors on global television. And I guess it was a blast for you to know what the band A, B, C, and D meant.
Exactly.
I didn't really know. But
we all fall under the same umbrella.
There's no striking stuff. There's never a 24 hours.
20 hours, he said.
But good to know. But we're hoping that the Senate has said they were going to wade into this crisis. We hope they do, so that the hike could be at least turned down a little, so
it
that
should
Nigerians can afford to pay for the tariff. Okay, so this is where we call it a wrap on Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. My name is Anthony Bomodu, the guy that knows all the mathematics in the world.
No, he doesn't. Thank you all so much for being a part of Global Morning. Hope you had an amazing time with us. I am Jumai Manson. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Stick around. It's Global Television on Global Morning. Bye-bye.
This is where the party is.